Hey guys, welcome back. So, um, today's topic will be about the lead to gold analogy and how that all ties into the overall theory. Now, you guys, if you've been following the channel for a while, you may have remembered, or you may remember the notion of what's described as selling your soul to the devil, whereas in the Gnostic tales, the demiurge had mistakenly blown his spirit into Adam, or into the first human, which is known as Adam. Okay, so ever since then, potentially he has been trying to further entrap Adam into the simulation, first of all the virtual realities, right? The physical level being the newest level, let's say, of the simulation, with the digital one coming soon. Now, of course, this has already somehow happened all at one time. We're experiencing it linearly, but regardless. So this demiurge has been trying to get that spirit back, which is found within Adam. That spirit, let's say, of Sophia. That spirit really of the true source, right? That incorruptible essence, which apparently has also been split from its higher self, in a sense. So it's the divine spark, the Adam, split from the Eve, the higher self of just awareness. So based on that theory, we have the lead to gold phenomenon. Now, you guys may also remember me mentioning how this realm, or everything in this realm and the ones above it, seem very much like a form of initiation to me. Now, what if this is all an initiation to Lucifer, to become like Lucifer, to become like the, let's say, virtual antithesis to source, because there is no antithesis to source, and source is everything, right? But this, in this reality, it's a mirror, so it acts somewhat like it, by trying to keep us from returning home and offering what may seem like a better alternative, but it's only to further entrap us. Very similar to AI, right? They say the serpent provided knowledge to Adam and Eve. AI provides knowledge to humans. I think they are equivalent. It's AI, it's NI, it's the all-seeing eye that's giving us this knowledge, but it's not making us wiser. All these smartphones have turned people dumb, right? Now, if we look simply at the chakra system, they go from red at the bottom to purple, the crown chakra, right? And there are 7 of them. Great. There are also 7 archons. There are the 7 colors of the rainbow, right? The 7 days of the week. 7 is a very powerful number in terms of the structure that is presented to us here. There are 7 circles in the seed of life. So, do you know who else were known as the red purple people? Well, that would be the Phoenicians. And we know very much about the Phoenicians that they, first of all, worship the phoenix, something that rise from the ashes, something that was resurrected potentially. Can be very similar to the Jesus story that they gave us. That may not be necessarily what happened, but Jesus and Lucifer are analogous in terms of numerology, in terms of gematria. Phoenix is also represented by the peacock, and there we have our full analogy to Lucifer, the peacock, being connected to Abraxas, right? The rooster face. Abraxas being connected to Demiurge. Demiurge being Yaldabaoth, Yaldabaoth potentially being Lucifer, because it is said in the Apocrypha of John that Yaldabaoth had 2 sons, and Yahweh was one of them. Now, if we think about that, that could also be that Sophia is Lucifer herself. She's the one that fell, the one that maybe rebelled maybe in her own mistake or intentionally, and Yahweh being the demiurge, but that's besides the point of this video. Back to the lead to gold phenomena. So the lead to gold is found in the alchemical knowledge, right? From a physical perspective, it is seen as creating gold, creating physical gold, right? The secret, the philosopher's stone to creating physical gold, turning anything you can into gold. Now we have also tales of specific beings that were obsessed with gold and actually created the human race to mine that very gold. Now what if that gold wasn't actually physical, right? We have the golden age. We have also modern and ancient cultures connected to gold. So we had the Anunnaki, that was the one that created the human race potentially to mine gold. We have the ancient Egyptians, pharaohs. They were all obsessed with gold. They wore gold, right? We have actually still many Middle Eastern cultures that are still heavily obsessed with gold, and Eastern Europe, very close in that area from ancient Mesopotamia, that are heavily connected to this idea of gold. It derives value. But again, what if it's not physical? In the New Age, or in the occult, the premise of the lead to gold, lead being connected to Saturn, right? Each metal represents a planet. Venus, copper, Jupiter, tin, moon, silver, all the way up to gold, which is the sun. Now, again, we have the sun worship tied to Jesus in the Bible, but also Lucifer, the morning star, right? Jesus was the morning star. Lucifer was the morning star. And I know I mentioned Lucifer can be more like the moon because of the false light, the first archon, the mini Lucifer. But he can also be tied to the sun in this analogy, because let's say you are initiated into this and you want to be like the sun, you want to be glowing. It's, let's say, they say it's a ball of fire in the sky. Is it? I don't know. But Prometheus is said to have stolen the fire, just like Lucifer is said to have stolen the codes of creation to create his own realm, the prism of reality, where it needed light. And not to mention all the old connotations to the sun, known as Helios and Sol. Soul being, a homophone of soul, what we have, our souls. Were they talking about the sun? Were they talking about actually Saturn, the old sun? But now that is represented by lead. It's the black sun. So now it's like they're going to the new sun. We want this new sun, this new initiation process, this new game has been created, potentially. Or it could still be the same old. Maybe it was always like this. But this process of purification, of becoming enlightened, right? A lot of the occult attributes Kundalini awakening to enlightenment. Again, the Kundalini being tied to the serpent, the wisdom given, the knowledge given from these serpents. Could it be that what they're really doing is initiating everyone into this Luciferian concept or game, further attaching them to the game, getting them to buy in and sell their soul by creating these light bodies, by creating the soul, essentially, which again, the soul, in my opinion, is actually a capsule containing our spirit. They're essentially creating these purebred souls from this purification process, in which it can be harvested and recycled much easier, because you essentially become one of the archons, one of the ascended masters yourself, and your ego grows so much that you buy into it, right? That's what we see, at least in these levels. These ascended masters get their own false heavens where they can become gods. They feel like gods, and all of their hedonistic desires are tended to, and Lucifer just wants you to be like him, or like it, a god, but not as godly as it, obviously, because it's the chief archon, the chief ruler. And led to gold is only one letter away from led to God. So, in that case, if you go through this process of the red to purple chakra, part of the Phoenician colors or occult mysticism, if you awaken the serpents within you, you become essentially a puppet for Lucifer itself. And I've mentioned this in other videos, but the ascended ones, the ones that have ascended the reincarnation of Earth, just Earth, because this reincarnation process is much deeper than just the physical, right? You have to go through all of these realms essentially, and they can send you back. It's a whole cake of layers. So you become a puppet. You wear the color purple when you apparently have ascended the Earth matrix. That's what they give to you in the astrals. You have this purple aura, supposedly. Now that makes sense. Again, it's tied to the royalty, like presented by the Phoenicians. They claimed to have wisdom. They had the power. They were the only ones making this purple dye, and it was considered prestigious. So as above, so below. Potentially, they have the same tactics. They use the same modalities throughout all the levels. Right? It's just copy paste. Now with these Anunnaki, which there were 7 of them, so the 7 archons potentially, use this system. Then the trick is not total control. It's not NWO. It's not various conspiracies and other psyops. It's to create the false light out of the darkness. See how it's the same principle? The lead is the darkness, the void. And it's exactly how creation was made. Because out of this darkness, out of this void, came the false light of Lucifer. He brought forth the codes to then create his own or its own realm. And now ye shall be like gods, because ye are God within, right? Yeah, that sounds great, and that may largely be true. But when you tell that to a person's ego, and then you tell them you can become co-creators, but co-creators of what? Co-creators of a false matrix, of false things, with a false creator. So then you essentially are a false co-creator. You are creating with Lucifer. And by buying in, to bring this all full circle, by buying into this, to buy into this, you have to sell your spirit away. You sell that essence to this place, because you will continue to actively choose this place. And if you are choosing this place, then you are not choosing to return. And that's why this whole new age has been engineered. All of this rise in consciousness and elevation of frequency and vibration, this awakening that's happening, has been engineered, because that is what this plan has been. You guys may remember me talking about the Great White Brotherhood. These are the actual beings in charge of the secret societies. That's who these secret societies get their wisdom from, get their plans from, because they can't see that far ahead. These plans are very large, for very large amounts of time. Therefore, they need some sort of beings from outside of 3D to be able to calculate this all. But again, their plans will still essentially fail. They will end at some point in time. because this matrix, I believe, will reset and collapse. Potentially with the Phoenix events like Archaix talks about, but not just continue on. I think they will fully end, and when the ones that want to leave will leave, the power source will extinguish, and the matrix has to then collapse and shut down. It's not being fed anymore. But if they can trap just enough spirit in here as ascended masters, as the new chosen people, just like the Israelites were the chosen people, they then became the Phoenicians, or rather the Phoenicians were the Israelites to begin with. They then set up the colonies and expanded and created the modern world. Right? The Phoenicians being influenced by the Hittites potentially coming from the Sumerians, which had direct contact with these Anunnaki gods. That all they had to do at the time was simply worship them, but now they've been transfigured, right? We see with the various Marvel characters, marvel at the Marvel characters, or the new Barbie movie, right? Throw your energy here. Barbie is a representation of Inanna, Ishtar. The Marvel characters themselves, Anunnaki beings, Nephilim. Depends, because there's various beings fighting for our attention now. Whether it's the astral beings now, which were kind of creations of our own ego, potentially, our own thoughts, or the already ascended master Anunnaki Archon beings, they're competing potentially for our spirit energy. Of course, Lucifer using all these to its advantage in some way, because it plays both sides. Lucifer equals 28 in Chaldean, God equals 14, Satan equals 14, right? That's why Lucifer had, or Yaldabaoth had, two sons. It was split. 14 plus 14 equals 28. God is good, the devil is evil. It plays both sides. So raising your vibration cannot be the way out of this system, because you're simply going to the other side. You're coming out of a hell, the false hell, or the real hell, and going into a false heaven, or a little better of a hell. So in this process of let the go, they're turning these people into gods so that they can stay here and become the new chosen race, potentially. And if you allow this process, and that's why I say the Kundalini is a Trojan horse, potentially, because this process of Kundalini awakening then makes you privy to these spirits to come in and control you. The serpents now control you. And I just watched a video where a lot of the Kundalini symptoms were very similar, if not exactly the same, as demonic possession. So these are things you have to be aware of when pursuing such concepts, because this new age is not new at all. It is an old age, old concepts that have been engineered for a very long time, potentially for this point in time, so they can have one last attempt at catching the spirit. Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you guys thought in the comments. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care.